Welcome to the Nintendo Power Zone, and this is Wild Odyssey. In 2017, Nintendo released two games that both have a rightful claim for the Game of the Year award. Both games have been critically and commercially successful and have sparked a debate. Which game is better? Our goal here with Wild Odyssey is to break the games down into multiple categories and place them head to head against one another to determine once and for all which game deserves the title of Game of the Year.
What's up, Nintendo Power Zone? It's Blues, and today we have a Wild Odyssey episode for you, episode 4. Today we're going to be going over the collectibles and extras found in Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey. So, I'd like to start by first of all saying I was going over what each episode would be, and for deciding which of these two behemoth games was going to be better, all the different little categories we were going over, I thought that collectibles was really a weird topic to cover, why not gameplay, music, graphics. I understand those things, but collectibles sounded like a weird one. But then, the more I really thought about it, the more it really made sense, and I got more taken away with, wow, the collectibles in these games really tend to make them, actually. I didn't really realize that at first, but it was super, super cool and interesting to see that the collectibles changed a lot in these games, and I was super excited to see that when I actually started thinking about it and talking about it with people. I'm like, wow, I need to do the collectibles episode. So here I am. So I'd like to first of all start off by saying that these games have two very different approaches with how they approach collectibles. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild has a lot more collectibles, and all these different kinds of collectibles. Super Mario Odyssey has very few collectibles in terms of variety, but very, very well considered usage of such collectibles, and how they use the collectibles is really great in the game, because there's only 3 collectibles in Super Mario Odyssey, really. There's the gold coins, there's the purple coins, and there's power moons. Other than that, there's not really much to collect other than you could consider the outfits that you wear, which are very cute and very charming. I'll touch on those in a bit. But I'd like to go back to Breath of the Wild for a second. Breath of the Wild was structured to be a game that had a very remixed Zelda formula and felt much more like an open world survival game. And I think the collectibles, their usage of collectibles in this really drove home that point of this is a survival game, because you can't just cut off hearts from the grass and that's how you get your health back. No, you have to hunt animals, you have to gather fruit, you have to cook it, and these resources are scarce in this big open world. So finding the good meat, finding the good fruits is easy. And then finding the ability to cook it. You can't just start a fire, you have to find a whole cooking pot, which is annoying in itself. But so, and you can't find as many arrows as you might want. You find yourself constantly running low on arrows unless you spend time farming them. You find weapons, but your weapons break over time, so you don't always have like one consistent weapon. Oh, I'm going to stick with this for the whole entire game. No, it'll wear out, and you have to find new ones, and sometimes you'll be without weapons. You have to plan ahead, be on your toes. It creates a really sense of survival that resources are limited. The world is harsh. I have to be on my toes about this stuff, thinking ahead, planning my next moves. And that's really how it drove home the survival aspect of Breath of the Wild, which I thought was really cool. I really liked that take on Zelda. I thought it was perfect for the series, especially for the atmosphere that Breath of the Wild set up for this first entry into this new idea of Legend of Zelda. It was really interesting. And then you have your, I guess, main collectibles, you could call them, like the paraglider, the Sheikah Slate tablets and whatnot, which are, they're collectibles, yeah. I would say they really do make the game. The first time I played Breath of the Wild combat, I only really focused on using my weapons and bow and arrow. I never really thought to use magnesis to drop things on people, or cryonis to freeze them on platforms to then get them where they want them. Using stasis for all sorts of cheeky things is amazing, and I never really did that at the beginning. But you also use them for, just navigating the world. So they have multiple uses for the Sheikah Slate applications, I guess you'd call them. Rupees, I like how rupees weren't everywhere in Breath of the Wild. They were kind of scarce. Yeah, you could farm them for a high number, but they weren't, Mario's coins. They weren't everywhere, which really did make me feel like the money was scarce and people were going through hard times. So the collectibles in Breath of the Wild really set up this survival aspect and hardship, the themes of this world, in terms of limitedness. But then there's also collectibles such as the Korok seeds. The Korok seeds were sort of more of their own side quest, where you have to find all the Korok seeds, and if you find all the Korok seeds, get your expanded inventory, and so it's worth your while, blah 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 blah, which was all fine and good. I personally thought that finding the Korok seeds just to expand your inventory, it's a very huge, daunting task for something that should be easily able to do. I feel like having more inventory space is something very important, especially in a game like Breath of the Wild, and having to do something so grand that will take time seemed like a bad way to do it. But they're collectibles. The Korok seeds are collectibles. They're scattered all over the world, and I'd be always on my way to my quest. Oh, Korok seed. Then I'd find another Korok seed from the Korok seed, which led to like 3 more Korok seeds, and I'd just go on a Korok seed hunting quest for like an hour, which was a great way to get lost in this world that they created, which is really phenomenal. It's Breath of the Wild because they didn't want to focus on like an ocarina or a baton that conducts the wind. They wanted to focus on the world itself, which is really cool. I think the collectibles really drive you to make creative use as well as explore the world with what you're given. Whereas on the flip side, Mario Odyssey doesn't have a survival theme to it. It doesn't have a lot of, I'm going to say, things to collect. I don't know if I already touched on that, but it doesn't have a lot of things to collect. You have you have your coins, your purple coins, your power moons, and technically the outfits that you buy, and decals and collectibles for the Odyssey, which, only a couple of those are really necessary. But so coins are traditional Mario. You can't have a Mario game without the coins, so, standard inclusion. But you could actually use the coins for something, which is like never really been done in traditional Mario games. So I'm really a fan of the fact that they actually use the coins for something in Mario Odyssey. You can go to the Crazy Cap shops on the yellow side and buy them with the yellow coins. And you can get certain outfits, you can get decals as well as power moons occasionally, which is super nice. You even get like a little quest marker for shopping in the Water Kingdom, for depending on which kingdom you're in when you buy the Power Moon, which is super nice. The purple coins were really fun because they sort of challenged to get to this place that you couldn't really, how do I get those purple coins over there? And you'd have to sort of figure out how to wall jump or capture a monster, capture an enemy to get up there. And so those were sort of ways to sort of challenge your thinking to explore in new ways, which I thought was really nice, especially with how they created Mario Odyssey to sort of, you need to get creative. They want to encourage exploration, try new things, creativity with your jumps, which I thought was really cool that they did that. And that's sort of how they would place, I felt that's how they placed the purple coins. But then you have a ton of Power Moons in Super Mario Odyssey. And so the Power Moons are really the collectible I want to focus on here. So whereas all of the collectibles in Breath of the Wild aren't really important to, I don't want to say the story, but they aren't really objective based. You can get your mighty bananas and cook them up, but you don't progress in the story for cooking. You can have a whole arsenal of weapons, but you don't get anything for having those in terms of the story. Not too much anyways. You can get certain items that do mean that you've cleared a certain part of the story, but nothing that really helps you progress. And that's where these are different. The Power Moons end up being your main story objective. Get as many Power Moons as you can to be able to power your Odyssey to track down Bowser. And that's really so cool that the main objective collectible is absolutely everywhere. You have your main story Power Moons where you go to progress the story, but then you can easily just like be on your way to just like that story objective and find 20 Power Moons just in between point A and point B. And it's crazy because there's just so much stuff to do that by the end of the level, you're going to have probably 100 Power Moons at the end of each level, which is stupid amount of main quest objectives. But since they're main quest objectives, you're really given a sense of accomplishment and quest complete or objective complete every single time you get a Power Moon. Which every time you get a new weapon in Breath of the Wild, this is a cool weapon, this is a bad weapon. But you don't really feel that satisfaction of, I just did a task that got me this grand collectible that I really need. I'm aiming for this. I know I'm not aiming for the weapon. I'm not aiming for that shield or these more arrows, So you felt more accomplished for every single Power Moon mission you did compared to anything else in Breath of the Wild, I thought. Which was a great way to keep the player playing, especially when, just like the Korok seeds, I'd be going to my mission, and all of a sudden I'm just collecting little tiny Power Moons, like the Korok seeds, and I do that for an hour without even doing the objective. I just get lost in this trail of, ooh, there's a Power Moon over there, let's do that. Oh, what, now there's two this way, let's do this one first, and I'll come back to the other one. And I never come back for it, I'm too busy following the bunny trail I've been paving out. And it's been a really just fun time collecting things in Mario Odyssey, whereas in Breath of the Wild it wasn't fun, it was just how you played the game. This is you collect the food for this, and you collect the weapons, obviously, for combat. And you just sort of do them as part of the progression. So it never really felt that grand, and that's why I really liked how Mario Odyssey did it to such a, what's the word? Maddening, extent. A maddening extent of collectibles. There's a lot of Power Moons. I'm not quite there yet, but I've seen the number 999 floating around, which is a lot of Power Moons. There's a lot of additional Power Moons. We've been over the coins and purple coins. And purple coins, you kind of need to collect the purple coins to get the outfits, and they care to get you into the outfits early on by saying, hey, you want to get another Power Moon? How about you buy this outfit, and you get a Power Moon for buying the outfit. And they sort of start you on the quest to collect all the outfits, by getting all the power moons, and then you're collecting the purple coins to get the outfits, and it's just a vicious cycle of collecting everything you can possibly see in that game. Which ends up being really interesting and fun. Because Mario Odyssey was, every single second of it was pure joy and ecstasy when you're playing that game. And I feel like part of it is just power moons being littered everywhere. But that'll have to do it for my two sort of breakdowns of the collectibles in these games. So you've seen sort of my how I view each take of each game, how they approach the collectibles. Being Breath of the Wild, the more survival, limited resources approach, but lots of stuff. Mario Odyssey, such little stuff, but everything is a main objective in a sense. And everything else sort of leads to those main objectives too. Which creates just endless things to do all the time in Mario Odyssey, as well as in Breath of the Wild. But this is the Wild Odyssey series, where we go to find out which one is better. So I'm going to go over why I liked each one more now. Breath of the Wild really helped shape the world and the experience of Breath of the Wild with their collectibles, which is very important in the game, and especially when you're getting lost and sucked into the world that you're building. Having this theme of survival in the world is very crucial to that sense, and that's one of the bigger things that you should always look for in a video game, is the experience and the overall world that you're playing in, and how engrossed and sucked in you can get into it. It really defines an experience a lot of the time. But in Breath of the Wild, in Super Mario Odyssey, the collectibles were endless fun. And so you could find one moon and find 5 more, and getting to all of them are just so fun and always creative and cool whenever you find a power moon. And the biggest thing in gaming for me has always been fun. If you have a cool experience, that's great. I love a cool experience. But I'm not saying Breath of the Wild isn't fun, but collecting arrows and weapons isn't the most fun thing in the world. So I really gotta hand this one to Super Mario Odyssey for having collectibles that are always fun and cool and exciting every time you get them, which is huge thing, especially with how many are scattered around the world. It's endless fun. It creates that pure joy that Mario Odyssey has, with the collectibles being power moons everywhere. And I think that was the better use. Always aim for fun with everything when you're making a game. We play games to have fun. That's why I believe great high budget games end up doing bad, because although they look fantastic visually, they sound fantastic, if the gameplay is boring, whoever wants to play it? You could have a world that sucks you in, but you never really have fun in that world. Why would you want to be in that world? And Breath of the Wild obviously was a very fun world to explore, but when making a game, fun should be at the heart of everything. Whereas I feel like the heart of Zelda was Zelda and this world that was at it. Whereas Mario was pure fun, and I think that's what everyone making games should always aim for, in my opinion, is fun. So that's my point. I'm gonna hand this category over to Mario Odyssey for the superior Power Moons objective collectibles.
That's going to be it for our 4th episode of Wild Odyssey. Remember, we will have a new video out every week from now until the end of February. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit the like button, and if you want to stay up to date with Wild Odyssey, don't forget to subscribe to the Nintendo Power Zone right here on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you next week.